The courtroom went silent. Every eye fixed on the screen as Wendy Osefo, composed but fierce, hit play on a file that could end a decade-long nightmare. The footage was damning. Edward Osefo, the man who once called himself her partner, caught in the act of scheming, manipulating evidence, and covering his tracks. For years, the public believed the story was twisted, the lies layered perfectly, but now, the truth was undeniable. And with that single recording, everything changed. Social media exploded, hashtags trending faster than anyone could track, while legal experts whispered that Edward might now face 10 years behind bars. But the most shocking part? Monique's name appeared multiple times in the footage, linking her directly to the conspiracy. As the judge leaned forward, eyes narrowing, a single line cut through the tension. Edward Osefo, this court may soon decide your fate. And in that heartbeat, the world realized nothing and no one would ever be the same again. The tension had been building for months, whispers in the hallways, rumors that refused to die, and fans divided in disbelief. Wendy Osefo had always been the picture of composure, a woman whose name commanded respect, whose career thrived on intelligence and integrity. But behind the cameras, behind the smiles, there was a storm brewing, one that involved the man she once trusted the most, Edward Osefo. It all started quietly. Friends close to Wendy began noticing odd behavior, missed calls, secretive texts, and an obsessive insistence on updating insurance paperwork. I didn't think much of it at first, Wendy later told a friend. Edward said it was for protection. I trusted him. I never imagined he'd betray me like this. The first cracks appeared when items supposedly stolen from their home surfaced months later in a storage unit rented under Edward's name. Jewelry, handbags, documents, it was all there. The revelation sent shockwaves through Wendy's world. Fans on social media debated endlessly, some calling her a fraud, others insisting she had been set up. Comments poured in, "She's too smart to fall for this." Or maybe she's been hiding the truth all along. Wendy read the messages in silence, her mind racing, heartbreak mixing with fury. Court documents revealed Edward had quietly transferred large sums into offshore accounts, tying directly to the fraudulent insurance claims. He was playing a long game, Wendy said quietly to her lawyer, her voice shaking but determined. "I signed the papers because I believed in us. I never thought he'd plan this behind my back." Then came the whispers about Monique. The name had always been a thorn in Wendy's side, a rival from the Real Housewives of Potomac. Insiders claimed Edward had been in secret contact with her, the two of them orchestrating a scheme that Wendy never saw coming. A leaked text surfaced. "Once she signs everything, it's done. You're in the clear." The initial shock was followed by anger, the kind that cuts deep because it comes from someone you once trusted completely. Fans began piecing together the puzzle in real time, analyzing interviews, old footage, and posts for hidden clues. One fan wrote, "It's like a soap opera, but worse, it's real life." Edward was supposed to protect her, not trap her. Another chimed in, "I can't believe Monique is involved too. This is insane." When Wendy finally broke her silence, it wasn't on social media, and it wasn't for fame. It was for justice. The audio leaked, a voice trembling with emotion yet burning with determination. "I never touched the money. I never hid anything. The man I loved made me believe a lie." Her words carried the weight of betrayal, and they ignited a frenzy online, with supporters rallying to her side while critics watched in stunned disbelief. And then came the secret footage. Hidden, never-before-seen recordings that captured Edward manipulating documents, rehearsing his story, and even conspiring with Monique. Every frame was a dagger to the heart, proof of the deception, and the world waited with bated breath as lawyers prepared to present it in court. The courtroom itself became a stage of tension, every movement, every whisper magnified by the stakes at hand. Wendy sat quietly, a mix of sorrow and resolve in her eyes, knowing that this was just the beginning. The betrayal was deep, personal, and public, but with every piece of evidence, the truth started to shine, and for the first time, the possibility of justice and revenge felt within reach. Every glance, every murmur, every heartbeat in that room told the story. Trust shattered, secrets revealed, and a woman who refused to be silenced. Wendy Osefo was ready to fight not just for herself, but to expose the man who had tried to destroy her world. The courtroom was thick with tension, every whisper, every shuffle of paper echoing like a drumbeat of impending doom. Wendy Osefo's secret footage had finally been submitted, and the air was electric. Every eye in the room was fixed on Edward Osefo, the man who had once promised her loyalty, now sitting across from her, his mask of composure beginning to crack. Fans online were losing it. Social media exploded with speculation. Hashtags like #JusticeForWendy, #EdwardExposed, and #MoniqueInvolved trended within minutes. Clips of the courtroom, blurred faces, and snippets of the secret footage circulated endlessly. One fan wrote, "I never thought I'd see the day Wendy had the upper hand. Edward looks terrified." Another added, "This isn't reality TV, it's a nightmare unfolding live." Inside the courtroom, the drama escalated as leaked DMs surfaced on screens for the first time. Edward's messages to Monique read like a script from a thriller. "She'll sign anything if I tell her it's for our future. Once she's out of the picture, we're clear." Another line, chilling in its simplicity, said, "Keep everything quiet. No one can know." Murmurs ran through the spectators. This was no longer a dispute over money. It was a web of betrayal, manipulation, and long-planned deceit. Wendy's lawyer, a calm and methodical presence, played the footage. Edward seen moving bags, handling paperwork, rehearsing lines, and nodding to Monique in an exchange that implied complicity. The camera captured him carrying supposed stolen jewelry into a storage room, then filing fake insurance documents, a performance meant to frame Wendy. The court fell silent as each frame revealed the truth, a truth that had been carefully hidden until now. Edward's face paled, the first real sign of weakness since the scandal began. Whispers filled the courtroom. He knew she had nothing to do with it. Wendy's own eyes glistened, but her jaw remained tight, her resolve stronger than ever. She had anticipated this moment, and it was now fully in her control. Monique, who had been quietly watching from the gallery, shifted uncomfortably in her seat. For years, she had been Wendy's rival on screen, but this was different. This was the private, dark side of the reality show feuds, revenge, greed, and betrayal made flesh. Fans began dissecting her expressions, debating whether she knew the full extent of Edward's scheme or had actively participated. Comments exploded online. "Monique can't hide anymore. She helped him. It's obvious." Then came a twist that left the courtroom holding its breath. A recording of Edward on a phone call with an unknown accomplice played. His voice was low, smug, confident. "Once she signs, it's over. She won't see it coming. We're untouchable." The voice on the other end responded with a laugh, confirming the collusion. It was the final proof Wendy needed. The tension peaked as Wendy leaned forward, her voice unwavering as she addressed the court. "Everything you've seen, everything Edward has tried to hide, was a lie. I was the one deceived. I signed documents because I trusted him and because I believed our life together meant something. But it was all a setup. And today, I'm here to expose it." The gallery erupted with murmurs and gasps. Journalists scribbled furiously, cameras flashed, and social media erupted with clips of Wendy's statement. Finally, someone standing up to Edward, one post read, "This is bigger than reality TV. This is a masterclass in deceit being exposed." But even as the court drama unfolded, there was an ominous undercurrent. Edward's eyes darted to Monique, who avoided his gaze, and a subtle smirk flickered across her face. It was a moment that suggested the story was far from over, a chilling reminder that alliances in deceit could shift at any moment. Just as the hearing seemed to reach a crescendo, the judge cleared his throat, his voice cold and precise. "Edward Osefo, be advised that this case will continue. Monique, you're required to appear at the next hearing. The court expects full cooperation from all parties." The room seemed to freeze. Every spectator, every camera, every fan online waited in stunned anticipation. Wendy had unveiled the secret footage, the proof, the betrayals, but the story wasn't finished. Edward's smirk, Monique's silence, and the looming threat of the next hearing created a cliffhanger that left everyone questioning who would fall next and what other secrets were still hidden in the shadows of this scandal. And as Wendy stepped back, her eyes burning with determination, one thought echoed in the minds of everyone watching. This was not the end. This was just the beginning. The courtroom was silent, almost reverent, as Wendy Osefo rose from her seat. Every eye was fixed on her, but her gaze never wavered from Edward Osefo. He had been trying to maintain composure all morning, but the cracks were showing. The secret footage had done more than reveal a crime. It had stripped him of his mask. Sweat formed at his temples, and for the first time, he looked vulnerable, exposed, and terrified. "Your Honor," Wendy's lawyer began, voice steady yet carrying the weight of weeks of preparation. "We have submitted irrefutable evidence of Edward Osefo's deliberate fraud. Not only did he manipulate his wife into signing documents under false pretenses, but he also colluded with Monique Samuels to orchestrate a scheme that defrauded multiple parties." The murmurs in the courtroom grew louder. Cameras flashed, and every journalist leaned forward, hungry for every detail. Edward's lips moved as if to speak, but Wendy raised a hand. Her voice cut through the tension like a blade. "I trusted him. I believed in our marriage. But it was all a lie. Every step, every smile, every promise, fabricated to frame me, to protect him." The courtroom seemed to hold its breath. Edward's face went pale. Monique, sitting nearby, fidgeted in her seat, realizing her name had been dragged into this storm in a way she could no longer control. Then came the moment that made the room shiver. The footage played again, Edward handling the so-called stolen goods, moving files, signing fake insurance claims, and exchanging nods with Monique. Each frame told the story: deception, manipulation, and betrayal. A witness, a former friend, whispered to reporters, "I never thought I'd see the day Edward would be caught like this. He always looked untouchable." The judge's gavel tapped sharply against the wood. "Edward Osefo, you are being held accountable for these actions. And Monique Samuels, you are summoned to provide testimony at the next hearing." The words hung in the air like a guillotine blade suspended over both of them. The gallery gasped. Social media exploded. Fans posted, "Justice is finally happening, and this is better than any reality show." Edward finally spoke, his voice trembling. "You don't understand," she knew. She always knew. Wendy's eyes flashed. "I didn't know what you were planning. I didn't know the full extent. But I know now, and the world will know too." Her words resonated through the room like thunder. The final twist came in the form of an anonymous document uploaded to the court system, revealing offshore accounts, hidden payments, and coded messages between Edward and Monique. The evidence was undeniable. Edward had tried to hide the truth, but Wendy had uncovered every layer of the scheme. The courtroom erupted in shocked whispers as attorneys and journalists alike dissected the files. Edward slumped in his chair, defeated. Monique's face was a mask of forced composure, but her trembling hands betrayed her. Wendy's gaze, unwavering and cold, seemed to pierce straight through both of them. She had taken back control, exposing the web of lies, betrayal, and greed that had ensnared her. As the hearing adjourned, Wendy's final words echoed in the halls of justice. "I will not be silenced. I will not be blamed for his crimes. And those who thought they could manipulate me will face the consequences." The crowd, reporters, and fans all felt the gravity of her statement. Social media erupted with clips of her declaration, thousands commenting, sharing, and replaying every second. Yet, even in this victory, a shadow lingered. Edward's last look at Wendy was not one of remorse, but a chilling mix of fear and determination, as if plotting a comeback. Monique's next move remained a mystery. Wendy had won the battle, but the war, the public scrutiny, the legal battles, and the unspoken threats was far from over. As Wendy stepped out of the courtroom, the sun cast a harsh light across her determined face. She had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The scandal had been exposed, the traitors revealed, but the story was still unfolding. And one thought echoed in the minds of everyone watching. The next chapter would be even more explosive, and no one could predict what secrets would surface next. The echoes of betrayal, greed, and vengeance would haunt Edward and Monique forever. Wendy had claimed her victory, but the world waited breathless, tense, and desperate for what would happen next. The courtroom may have erupted, Edward's lies exposed, and Monique's complicity revealed, but this story is far from over. Wendy Osefo stood her ground, submitting secret footage that could send Edward to prison for 10 years. But the real question remains, what will Edward do next? Will Monique finally testify, or is she plotting a counterattack behind the scenes? Every leaked file, every whispered conversation hints at deeper schemes that are yet to surface. Fans are already speculating, dissecting every frame of footage, every snippet of audio, desperate to uncover the next twist. And Wendy? She's not done. She promised justice, and she's proving she will go to the end. If you want to witness the fallout, the secret meetings, and perhaps Edward's desperate attempts to fight back, stay tuned. Comment below what you think will happen in the next explosive chapter, because this saga is only getting darker and the world is watching.